Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm your host, John Parker. We are 33 minutes after the hour. Also streaming on our YouTube channel right now. If you like what we're doing, subscribe, click that like button, and leave us a comment. He is a writer and animator who grew up in Oregon and now lives in London, where his first novel, The Disassembly of Doreen Duran, was published in 2021. He is also a knitter who runs the popular YouTube channel RJ Knits, which features over 90 videos of tutorials, audience Q&A, and my favorite, the question, will it knit? Where our guest takes various threads of candy and I cords and asks, will it knit? And you find out why, if or why. His new novel, George Falls Through Time, is available for pre-order now. It comes out on January 20th. Ryan Collett, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And thank you for finding the Will It Knit videos. It's been a minute since I tried to knit iPhone chargers, so I'm gonna pick that back up.
I'm a baby tuber, so we are just starting to take the whole platform seriously and like do things with it and try to be fun with it. So when you go there and you're like, oh yeah, we're in our infancy stage, so we're just getting started. But so I love watching people and seeing how they do their channels, and so I've spent some time. Because I find knitting fascinating, even though I haven't gotten into the how of it. One of my partners knits, actually. Anyway, why are we talking? We're talking. You have a great YouTube channel, but what I want to talk about is George Falls Through Time. Okay, so to kick it off, George loses his job. His boyfriend breaks up with him. He takes up a gig as a dog walker to make ends meet. There's some puppy drama. And then he falls through time, as one does. Tell us about your new novel and what readers can expect when they turn to page one.
Yeah, so I mean, page one, you can expect quite a rant from George. He's in kind of a tough place in life. He's kind of up against it. And he's so stressed out that he accidentally time travels, and he ends up in the year 1300 in London. So immediately he's kind of hit with the brutal realities of this medieval world. He doesn't understand the people. He doesn't know how to communicate with anybody. They throw him in a dungeon because they don't know what he's doing. But oddly, he sort of assimilates and starts to kind of enjoy this new life as he gets a feel for how the world works. He even falls in love. He gets a boyfriend. And a lot of the book is just kind of following how he gets along in this new world. And it's sort of him living out this. It is a bit of an escapist fantasy, I think, for somebody like me who loves kind of medieval history and is always kind of thinking like, oh, what if we just kind of went back to the woods and lived out this kind of back to basics life. But he finds himself ending up having all the same kind of feelings and anxieties and hangups that he used to have in present day. And especially when it comes to this new relationship that he has, it's not just this kind of medieval romance that he has. It is a lot like all the other failed relationships that he's had in modern day life. So the book is this kind of, it's this fun medieval romp. It's a little absurd at times. There's a dragon that is involved at one point. Yes, and some different characters throughout history, but at its heart, it's George kind of confronting his shame and loneliness and his inability to connect, which I think are, he realizes these are issues that are going to affect you no matter what century you're living in.
Okay, we are living in a very particular and peculiar period of history and modern times where queer people can, again, depending on where you are and what government you happen to be living under, gonna live our lives fairly openly, just trying to get through our day. Your novel is a confessional novel that does go back in time, but talk to me about the modern life that you wanted to establish and kind of create that baseline before sending George back to 1300.
Yeah, so I put off writing this book for a long time. I told myself I was not going to do a time travel novel. No, I was like, this is not really my lane. I'm not going to be able to figure it out. So I put it off for years. Once I hit kind of the once I had the initial inspiration, I was a very good procrastinator, and I just put it off for several years. When I finally got around to deciding to like bite the bullet and go for it, I knew that the only way I'd be able to pull it off and write the kind of novel that I wanted to, which was just kind of really immersing myself in this medieval world, was if I was really in the head of this person and just this
Mhm.
very close first person perspective. And obviously I did research and did my good homework and everything. But really, I knew that the most relatable character would be somebody who is just a normal person reckoning with this new medieval world and kind of hitting all the stumbling blocks that come with it. So George is very much, I mean, it's kind of got an extreme version of my own modern anxieties and hangups and preoccupations, which is, yeah, a lot of that is with gay issues, being gay in the modern world. And if you transplant that into a medieval world, what does that look like? And so a lot of the book is just me figuring out, well, how would a person like me fit in a world that, I mean, traditionally we think of as kind of the Dark Ages and this very ignorant time. What would that actually look like? How would I actually get along? Um, and what I found was that I probably do pretty well. I think it would be okay. There would
I
be,
wanna I wanna ask about that. Like,
yeah,
why 1300? Of all
yeah,
the
yeah.
times for George to fall into, why, for the love of Cher, was it 1300?
It at first it was really practicalities. I was thinking, okay, well, how far back could I go and actually survive and be able to communicate with people? And that got me on this whole linguistic kick. And so I thought, okay, 1300 is kind of when English hadn't quite modernized, but it wasn't fully Old English. So I think you could probably survive. And so it was really just practicalities of survival, which I also got really lucky with because 1300, which I chose 1300 because nice round number, like just it looks nice too. And I just got really lucky with it. It's such an interesting time period with Edward the First is king of England, and he's kind of
Mhm,
your prototypical Marvel superhero kind of king. And his son is is the exact opposite. He's gay, he's kind of reluctant and not this battle hardy warrior. And I just read a lot about that history and thought, okay, well, this works perfectly with what I'm trying to do with George and tell this kind of very personal gay man's story, linking it with these characters in history without it being too magic school bussy. I
mhm.
think was going to be it made for a great um, writing experience for me. I really had a good time, and so a lot of a lot of the dates that I chose initially, it was just kind of dumb luck that I ended up where I ended up.
We are talking with Ryan Collett, whose new novel, George Falls Through Time, is available for pre-order now. Comes out January 20th of 2026. I'm curious, George could have fallen back into 1300 and they could have seen the cell phone and the clothes and been like, ooh, a wizard. We're going to make him king of this, or, a royal vizier, or whatever the right term is. Talk to me about like the mindset of the folks that are like, ooh, this person should be in jail for a little bit.
Yeah, so they get freaked out by his clothes, by his polyester. He falls in time and ends up he's wearing a jogging outfit. So he's got running shoes. He's got his phone, his wallet, and keys. So it's just your normal stuff, and that freaks them out. He can't speak the language. They think he's this kind of foreign invader. So they do. I mean, probably he's got a couple hours of enjoying the peace, calm nature, and then they catch him and throw him in a jail because they don't know what to do with him. Um, but the people, they are kind of this alien people that I do treat them as kind of these very other kind of scary people at first, but which I think is how we look at history too. But I knew that what I really wanted to get at was that these are actually the same people that we are, and they're probably having the same reactions and feelings and emotions that we have today in modern times. So I
Mhm.
really wanted George to confront that. And he does over the course of the novel, he's constantly got kind of this. I mean, most of us, if we ended up time traveling, we would go back in time and kind of think we'd have this kind of superiority complex just by nature of being from the future. So we would think, oh, well, I know what happens. I know what, I know what electricity is. I know what these people are going to end up happening. Like, I know a plague is going to come and all these, like, you just are, I'm automatically going to think that you're better than the people that you're surrounding with. So the book, George is constantly hitting against these preconceived notions that he has about the Dark Ages, and how the people interact with him. And slowly, as he connects with them and learns how to communicate and live in this life, he realizes, oh, wait, these people are actually a lot more. They're not only just exactly like me, but they have a much more kind of lived, raw experience. And that's what I was trying to get at with this book.
There is I want to go further on that. There's this like juxtaposition you have between modern life and 1300s, and discovering that is, as you were going along, were there uh themes, questions that like you're like, oh, this kind of illuminates just today, 2025, and how we could be navigating this particular moment that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, there were a lot of parallels. I don't know if it was just because I was doing so much research and I was just constantly in that world that, you see the parallels that are there, but you do. I mean, with Edward the First, it was kind of this really nationalistic time period where there was a lot of like xenophobia and persecution of people, and a huge class divide. Obviously, there was peasantry and a completely different kind of economic system, really. But at the same time, these people are existing in this environment, so they're dealing with kind of the same emotions that I think we would in this time period. Um, and yeah, and then also I think a lot of our preconceived notions about the Dark Ages is we are always thinking, oh, these people are much more ignorant. It's much more an oppressive time period socially. It's much more conservative. But I always had the hunch that that wasn't quite the case. That while they did have, it was monarchy and this kind of feudal society, which was its own form of oppression.
Mhm.
Um, I think the actual real life of these people, the actual personal lives of these people, was probably much more freer emotionally and socially. And so I wanted to kind of not prove that, I guess, but kind of explore that with writing the book. A lot of the research I did kind of affirmed that kind of hunch that I had, that yeah, there are a lot of parallels to the difficulties that we have today, but there are also a lot of almost answers, I guess, to the problems that we have
Mhm.
today, if that makes sense.
Mhm. I do wanna I wanna unpack that a little further. What you found out about queer life
Yeah.
in that time period. I've got a minute left, so I'm not gonna ask a huge question like that and then be like, answer that in 20 seconds. But we're
Try my
gonna take a
best.
break. We're gonna have Ryan, Collett will continue with us after this break. Before we go, check out our GLAAD Media Award nominated podcast, This Queer Book Saved My Life. I interview LGBTQ guests from across the rainbow about the queer books that had a life-saving impact for them. Plus, we bring in the authors to join the conversation to talk about what it took to write and get that book out into the world. You can go to thisqueerbook.com to stream all of our episodes, or you can find it everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Also, you can keep the conversation going on Blue Sky with us here at The Gaily Show. We are at thegailyShow.org on Blue Sky. We include a whole bunch of other articles that we just can't get to on the show there, and you can DM me all of the rants that you have, which folks make really good use of my DMs, but they're always open for you. So we're going to take a quick break. More on the flip side with Ryan Collett. You're listening to The Gaily Show on AM 950 Radio and WCPT 820. Welcome back to The Gaily Show. We are coming up on the top of the hour. I am John Parker. He's the host of the popular RJ Knits YouTube channel. and has a new novel, George Falls Through Time, comes out in January. You can pre-order your copies now. Ryan, we were talking about before the break, queer life in the 1300s. Can we pick it up there? What did you find out about that? What was that like?
Yeah. There's a lot there for sure. So I always
Really?
had
Okay.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of artistic liberty that is taken with that. But there is plenty of history as well. So the main thing, I mean, I always had the hunch that, the Dark Ages were not really that dark. And even though the people were not that literate, I do think they had just as rich of lives as we would now. So George in this book is constantly kind of learning that the hard way. He's assuming that the people are dumber than they are, and he actually ends up being kind of the dumb one that's unable to figure out what's going on. So the kind of the queer life that I researched, the best historians in any sort of book that they write, they're always going to be very humble and admit that we don't know anything. I mean, even 100 years ago, we don't know exactly what was going on. We forget, we don't keep records. And the records that are kept by the winners and the people who
Mm-hmm.
are having the resources to even keep records in the first place. So in medieval times, that means a lot of church records, which back then were more almost just a form of administration of counting the people that are living in the parish. And there was there was gay life. I mean, a really great book that I read was by John Boswell. He was a researcher,
Oh
historian
yeah.
in the 80s. Oh, he was amazing. He's got this incredible book that is about the history of homosexuality and Christianity and kind of the rise of um, how it went from the beginning of time till now, and sort of almost about the rise of homophobia too.
Mm-hmm.
And what he kind of argues is that homophobia is more of a modern construct, even in these time periods that were quite oppressive, like the Dark Ages, medieval England. There was a kind of a gay life that people were living, and there was not. Uh, I don't think it was maybe quite as advertised, but nothing else was advertised either. Like people had other concerns that they were living through with like basic survival things. So that's what I really wanted to explore with the book. George gets a boyfriend pretty easily in the book, and he's constantly kind of shocked that it's not this persecuted thing that he runs into. There is homophobia because homophobia, but it takes a different form. The homophobia that's in the book is more directed at Edward II, who is a gay king, kind of a famously, explicitly gay
Mm-hmm.
king with multiple lovers. And the homophobia is almost directed at him as this person of power and this oppressor. So it's an interesting. There is homophobia in the book, but there's a strange twist on it. It's not quite like the kind of puritanical walls that we'll run up against in modern times. So arguably, it was almost a less conservative, a less socially conservative time, despite the clear kind of structural oppression that was happening elsewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to look at the royals as anything because they lived sort of in their own little
Yeah.
world of rules that they had to live by. I mean, there's the King James Bible, but that guy was a raging homo. I mean,
Right.
so to put it delicately. But the King Edward II and the Pierce Gaveston, if I'm saying that correctly,
Yeah.
that was an infamous relationship there, which, there were battles fought over that one and French kings getting involved and a French wife. And I mean, it was just like, and everyone ended up dead.
Yeah. It's an amazing story. I love, and honestly, I was just really lucky to stumble on this being the time period that I wanted George to fall into in the middle of that. He does meet Pierce Gaveston. He does meet Edward II. I promise it is not like a Carmen Sandiego's Magic School Bus kind of thing. I do indulge myself in kind of the living history and seeing these characters throughout history, but I do keep it kind of grounded in reality. And I think that's part of what I'm trying to do with the book too, though, is really grounded. Like, yes, Edward II is this kind of larger than life character we know from history, but at the time he's just kind of a teenager in love with this boyfriend, and you can just imagine a snotty 17-year-old prince with a boyfriend who is also just kind of working for him. And so you can imagine the type of character that is. It's not this cartoonish character, but it is, a gay teenager who has his own hangups and expectations that he has to meet too. So George has some entertaining run-ins with these people and learns they're kind of just like him, in all the bad ways and all the good ways.
In under 30 seconds, what can we say about the dragon?
The dragon is great. It's he's a sassy, all-knowing, wish-granting, several hundred-year-old dragon, and he throws everybody for a loop.
Well, the book is George Falls Through Time. We have links in our show notes and on our websites for you to pre-order your copy. You can head to am950radio.com, heartlandsignal.com. If you're on YouTube, you can just look at the show description here. You can connect with Ryan at ryancollett.com. That's 2 T's, COLLETT.com. On socials, he is RJ Collett. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on The Gailey Show.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for listening and or watching today. Remember to subscribe and click like on YouTube. You can also keep the gay going all weekend long. So tomorrow afternoon on AM 950 Radio, we've got Twin Cities Pride amplified at 3 p.m., the Illegal Trans Woman at 4 p.m., and the Downright Upright Show at 5 p.m. On Sunday on WCPT, it is Out Chicago with your gay best friends, Ellen Miller and Scott Duff. And until this time, Monday, keep it queer, America.